This is Don't Panic, episode number 233, recorded February 25th, 2019. Know when to fold 'em. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on gadgets, the internet, you, other things. We'll talk about them. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by Dan Miller.
Joined as usual.
4 out of 5 dentists would definitely take on Dan Miller as a patient. The fifth guy, not very smart. He's missing out.
No, the fifth guy and I, we had a falling out.
Oh, no. That's tragic.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get that fifth dentist.
No, you can't win them all.
No?
In dentists, they're a particular bunch. They're exacting. And I'm a kind of freewheeling guy. I like to keep it loose. I don't like to be locked down. So that fifth dentist.
You have dentist commitment issues.
No. I just like to speak in generalities. I like to extemporize without getting into specifics. And because I can convince a lot of dentists to go along with that, but not that guy.
Nope, he's kind of a dick. Unfortunately, Dan, what is going on, sir?
Oh man, we weren't here last week,
or the week before.
I wasn't here the week before that. I think.
Yeah, I don't think we did an episode that week. I think we're 2 weeks since our last episode.
Okay, gosh, I went to Miami.
Miami, the city where the heat is on all night on the beach till the break of dawn. Miami.
Yep, that's the place.
Oh my goodness.
There, I can get into some fun Miami facts.
Oh my, I would love nothing more. One,
there are lots of cats in Miami.
Okay.
Stray cats.
Are they known for that?
Near the beach areas. Well, I don't think they're as known for that as they are for yachts and shopping
and ladies in
beaches.
bikinis. Yeah.
Right, but if you've ever gone to, you would notice the cats for sure.
Okay.
Number two, Hasidic Jewish people all over the place in this very tropical climate, which is something I think about in New York all the time, because they're also, depending on where you are in New York, they're frequently seen on the 120 degree subways in August. They must have some fabric technology going on there. But here's the cool part. As a result, all of the resorts and hotels, and it's a literal canyon, by the way, of resorts and hotels, that one road that goes down the beach.
Yep.
You can't see the beach at all, and nor can you see anything to your left. It's crazy. All the elevators, all of the hotels have those the special elevators that do not need to be operated, so they can be used on Sunday without technically telling someone to do work. And they just go up and down. They stop at every floor.
That is legitimately fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's see. I shared an elevator with David Crosby while I was there.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. I think. Here's the funny story. So, this is a music festival, and it goes on from 12:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the beach, on this beach venue, and then it continues in a hotel that's about a half-hour walk away. So it's not the most fun thing to walk. So I was like, you know what? Oh, and the hotel shows go from 11:30 p.m. to late, was all it said on the thing.
Okay.
But the last one starts at, I think the last one started at 2:30, if I recall. Too late. And so I was like, I'll get a room in the hotel where these shows are, and then I can go to as many late night shows as I want, and then I can knock off when I get tired.
Smart.
And I don't have to, walk somewhere or get a cab or. But what was not so the risk that I did not take into that calculus was the risk that our hotel room would be directly above where the music is in the hotel, which it was. So I saw all of the shows. I saw every single show that they put on there, because I was like, well, we could sit here and not sleep and listen to muffled music, loud muffled music, or we could just go downstairs one flight and listen to
Might as well.
unmuffled loud music, which will probably help us stay awake. So that's what we did.
Wow.
So
Wow. Any particularly great acts?
there's this one band called I could pick them. I didn't. The New York Gypsy All Stars, which is kind of like Eastern European jam band slash like a little. It sometimes sounds like Bollywood music. It was a lot of fun. It was some of the most fun music to listen to. New York Gypsy All Stars. I also really liked Ghost Note, which is basically a couple of people plus everyone who was in Prince's last band.
Okay.
Yeah, they were incredible. So those are my two standouts. Other than that, I've been working. I've been thinking a lot about board games.
Okay.
Are you a board game fan, Sean?
Dan, it's funny. I do like board games. I don't play them very often, but my enjoyment of board games is more traditional. Your Hasbro, Milton Bradley sort of Parker Brothers type games. These sort of more modern. I haven't really played any of the modern. I played, like I said, and you know this, I played Settlers Catan for the first time a few months ago. So most of the sort of new games are very unfamiliar.
Okay. Didn't you and Matt have an Up for Debate episode where you tried to come up with a board game that was an unmitigated disaster?
Episode, our absolute worst. Because turns out it's very hard to do, especially over Skype in under an hour.
Okay, so let me help you out because I've been thinking all weekend about my idea for a board game.
All right.
But it might involve introducing you to a couple concepts if you haven't played recent board games.
Oh, no.
Concept number one is a deck building game, and I'll come back to this in my pick. A deck building game is you start with some cards. The cards, you play them and they do things. But as the game progresses, you have the opportunity to pick up new cards that are usually better. And you also, sometimes depending on that game, have the opportunity to remove cards from your deck, because the fewer cards you have, the more likely you are to draw the cards that are remaining.
Okay, yeah. I'm with you.
That's concept number one. Concept number two are these like cooperative board games where you're not playing against each other. There's some sort of system that is causing things to happen on the board, and you need to progress to a place or cause something to happen as a team, so you all have to work together.
Okay, yeah.
Combine these two ideas. Oh, wait, no, there's a third concept, which are legacy board games. You know how, like, most board games, you play it once, and then you're done, and then you can play it again. You start from the same spot, but the game might be slightly different.
Yeah.
Legacy board games are you play it once, and then you play it again with the same group of people, and the things that happen in the first game carry over into the second game.
Okay, yeah.
So your choices matter. Okay, combine all three of these things. Each person has a deck of cards that you are building over the course of many games, permanently.
Yeah.
So your choices really matter. You can get rid of cards, but both are really expensive. So you'll be faced with these choices of like, well, do I want to get this new awesome card, or do I want to ditch this card that's no longer useful? Because the scenarios will keep changing, your deck will have to evolve. And it's cooperative, so you're working together to try to achieve something. That's my big brilliant idea. I don't know how the game what the cards would be, what like the setting would be, all that I have yet to figure out.
I like it.
I do too.
I like it. I think that sounds fun. I like, obviously party games are very popular, and cooperative games are very. People want to play together, I think, in gaming these days, and so I think that's a fun element to bring in. I'm on board.
Yeah, we need to start the Don't Panic board game company.
Oh no, we don't. No, we don't.
Come on.
No.
We got the Snoomba.
No, so many bad ideas.
We got some other stuff. I'm pretty sure.
The
shower cleaning robot.
It's what is it? Ben & Jerry's up in Vermont has their famous graveyard of discontinued flavors. We've got our graveyard of bad Don't Panic ideas. This is a good one, Dan. Save it, please. Give it life.
I will savor it.
But I think that sounds fun. I've never thought about like actually trying to create a game. I feel like it's one of those things that looks really easy, but is truly very difficult. Because usually,
I think it's easy to start.
well, I think coming up with the sort of the concept is easy, but the actual mechanics are difficult. Because anytime I've written a murder mystery party before, which I know is not quite the same thing, but you're in that line, and I've even writing trivia questions, which I've also done. It's like it's very hard to gauge how difficult or how easy something should be, and you got to play test it with a lot of people. It's very hard. There's a reason why not everyone does it.
Yeah, I think the playtesting would be where I would seriously lose interest.
Yeah, very repetitive, and yeah, I think it's great. I think it made a great app.
Yeah, there's something about a board game.
I know, but it's
if
also...
especially if you're gonna be playing cooperatively, I feel like you really want it to be a board game.
But I think about a game like Hearthstone or something like that.
Oh, okay. So now we're combining 4 ideas. I like this.
Again, man, you want to take something that's very successful and piggyback on it. That's
Agreed.
how all good ideas happen.
And you stand on the shoulder of giants.
I think you could sneak in there and use that sort of, people feel very comfortable playing remotely with card decks. They build over time. Hearthstone, a game I played about 6 times and then got bored with. I'm definitely not your demo audience. That's for sure.
Well,
but I wish you luck.
Thanks. Should we talk about some news? Unless you have any other extracurricular topics?
No, like I said, I went to the RV show, the Springfield Camping and RV show.
And this was just for funsies?
Just for funsies. Just for it's when you live 5 minutes from a giant expo center. It's fun because you can just the model train show is next month. I think I'm going to go.
I believe I've been to that model train show.
I'm told it's a great model train show. I've actually never been, which is shocking. So
ooh, you should go.
I just might. And they do all kinds of great the home show and all sorts of stuff. But it's the RV show. Used to go when I was a kid. It was always a lot of fun. And Dan, talk about technology. You should see these damn RVs they got now. They're like the damn space shuttle. They got like controlled color effect lighting, and they've got like TVs bigger than the ones in your house, and they've got everything's all app connected, and so you can adjust the blinds everything's app connected in the RV. It's crazy.
It's a smart RV.
It is. It really is. It's bizarre.
Now, can you name one of them? Can I look one of these up?
No, they all have such generic, forgettable names. They're all like the Prowler and the and the Solara, and just very nonsense marketing names, but they're great, and they're all very expensive, and they're all very large. But they're nicer than they got kitchen islands and massage chairs, and I mean it's absolutely buck wild what they put in RVs now.
That's cool.
They've got Wi-Fi and they've got satellite TV, and your hotel isn't as nice as these RVs. It's absolutely great.
And you've gone RV camping?
I have. As a child, my family owned a small, not a large one, a small trailer. And so we used to go every summer.
And you enjoyed that?
Yeah, I did. I did. Certainly more than, like tenting in the middle of nowhere. The great thing about RVing is it's not just that you have an RV, but the RV, you can't take an RV anywhere, right? You can only take it to places that take RVs, and those places are usually nice and paved and have pools and are essentially resorts. We used to go to a place up in Canada that was so big you had to rent a golf cart to drive around the place because it was so big.
You would take the RV to Canada?
Yeah, absolutely we would. The Niagara Falls, baby. Beautiful. Yeah, we had a blast in that thing.
I learned a fun fact.
Yeah.
Speaking of Canada, we don't have to worry about this. If you're American, you can go to Canada, no problem. Land, sea, or air.
Yeah.
If you're, depending on where else you're from, like say the UK, you need to get it's not a visa, it's this other thing, some sort of document if you want to fly into Canada. But you do not need that if you drive into Canada. And I had a friend who was going skiing in Canada and failed to even think that he would need this, and it lives in the U.S. but is technically a UK citizen. And so instead of flying from New York to Vancouver, he flew from New York to Seattle and got on a bus to Vancouver, and then a bus to the resort, and it worked.
But that doesn't make any sense, because doesn't the UK still own Canada or something like that?
That he was very offended. He's like, my queen is on your money.
Yeah. That seems very unfair.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there.
They're odd up there. We love Canada.
Seems like a very rude thing for a Canadian to do, but...
Yeah, very out of character. But, they're sassy up there. Yeah, Dan, we can talk about some news. There's not a lot of news this week. There's some in here, but, we'll find some stuff to talk about. Is there any particular items you'd like to start with?
We didn't end up with any Oscars stories on here somehow.
No, did you watch the Oscars?
No.
I didn't either.
Wow.
Did you watch
any? I feel like that's right in your wheelhouse.
It's really not. It's really not, because I used to, and then it was like the movies have got... Did you see any of the Oscar movies?
Well, I mean, I saw Black Panther.
Sure.
I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
And I think that was the only two movies I saw that got nominated.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the problem is that the movie, like last year when it was Shape of Water, I had actually seen it, enjoyed it, had something to root for. And this year it's like Roma didn't see it, Green Book didn't see it, The Favorite didn't see it. Like none of these big movies. Black Klansman hadn't seen it, so it was kind of a swing and a miss. I just didn't. Actually, what I did do is I started watching James Bond films for our big James Bond event coming up on Up for Debate next month.
Ooh.
Yes, Shaken, Not Stirred, 6 Decades of James Bond in Film is the working title. And it's going to be great. We're going to watch all 24 James Bond films to talk about them. And I have seen 3 of them. I have not seen any of them. So it's all new to me. Are you a big fan of the James Bond films?
So I had a professor who was a big fan of the James Bond films, would go to premieres somehow.
Wow.
Had photos with actors and stuff. So I have to say no, that I'm not knowing that I'm not that big of a fan. I don't think I've seen all of even the recent ones. Because there were three what's his name ones, right?
Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig ones?
Oh, there's 4 now.
I think I only saw 2. So probably no. I was safe to say I'm not a big James Bond fan. If you would invite me to go see a James Bond movie, I would go. If you were like, hey Dan, let's watch a James Bond movie, I'd watch it. But I haven't gone out of my way.
Not a big fan. No, okay, that's fine. I'm going to discover if I'm a fan. So that'll be part of the process.
Have you watched any James Bond movies?
I had seen, going into this little experiment, I think 2 of the Pierce Brosnan, the later 2 Pierce Brosnan ones, which are not great.
Yeah.
And I had seen, like you, I think 2 of the Daniel Craig. I had seen none of the Sean Connery, none of the Roger Moore, none of the classic Bonds. Nothing from the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. So those will all be new, which would be fun. I just started with Dr. No the other night.
That's a classic, right?
It wasn't bad. I was surprised. I thought I wasn't going to like it, but I actually did. I enjoyed it. It's a slow movie, but movies back then were slower. So, not as sort of high-paced action. It's a little more like actual spy work and less stunts, which is kind of what the later movies became, I think, a little bit. So, overall, enjoyable.
Okay, so I Googled 2019 Oscar nominees to see if I had seen any others.
Yeah.
I end up on this website, oscar.go.com/nominees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is go.com?
You don't know about go.com?
No! And now my mind is being blown. You know about go.com?
I know about go.com.
Let me tell you about the listeners. Here's what I see.
Break it down.
Shop Disney. Disney Consumer Products. Disney Baby. Disney Interactive Mobile Games. ABC News. Disney Parks. ABC, ESPN. Disney Family. 538. The Undefeated. Marvel. I didn't know Disney owns 538?
ABC News owns 538, which is owned by ABC, which is owned by Disney.
Oh, my God.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, well, actually, the funny thing is, 538 used to be owned by ESPN, who sold it to ABC News, which is odd because they're both owned by Disney. So go figure.
Is Disney Plus their streaming service?
Yeah. Yeah, it hasn't launched yet, but it will be.
And click keep me updated and nothing happens. So that's cool.
Yep. No, Go.com was back in...
Oh, my Disney. What is this?
Oh, my Disney. I think, isn't that like a limited run social network? Maybe I'm mistaken.
It looks like BuzzFeed for Disney stuff only.
Yeah.
Oh, my Disney.com. Goodness gracious. Books. Books.disney.com. Okay, I got distracted.
Yeah. Go.com was their, they launched it as an internet portal. It was supposed to compete with Yahoo back in the day, in 98, 99, and then just never became a thing. But for some reason, even all these years later, all their domains are blank.go.com.
It's a nice short domain.
I mean, it is, but nobody types it. Everyone just does Disney.com or whatever. You know, it's weird that they still redirect to that. So, go figure. Anyhow.
Anyways, what were we talking about? We were talking about the news.
Yes. What about the news?
Huey
Lewis in the news.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's end with the first story, and so let's start with Samsung giving up on Blu-ray. The Samsung quits making new Blu-ray players?
Yeah, isn't that something?
That is something.
It is. The Samsung is no longer introducing new Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray player models in the U.S. market moving forward, according to a Samsung spokesperson. That may mean they could continue to produce existing models for some amount of time, or introduce new ones outside the U.S. There just won't be any new ones within the U.S. It says here, according to this Nielsen report, only 66% of TV-watching households even own a DVD or Blu-ray player now, compared to 72% in 2017, and that the average U.S. adult spends just 5 minutes a day on average using a Blu-ray or DVD player. It's on average, so you know, there's one guy who watches it 24 hours a day, and then a million people who don't. But that's the least of any screen activity they measured. Even
look at this graph.
This graph is great. You can compare it, what I say, about 5 minutes a day. Your average person spends 1 hour and 45 minutes a day listening to the radio.
Is that counting podcasts?
I would be shocked if it does.
Car drivers, but yeah.
And like old people at home who listen to the radio. Again, this is kind of an aggressive blend, I'm sure.
That's my favorite Starbucks coffee, the aggressive blend.
The aggressive blend, yeah. That'll really keep you up.
You know what this graph is reminding me of, Sean? Did you see that animation that was going around on Twitter of the top 10 most valuable brands over the past 10 years? I think it was the past 10 years.
Yep.
That was an infographic. I felt so. I was infotained. I was edutained.
The great thing is the first place I saw that was LinkedIn, which is like the holy grail. It was like the holy grail on there. It was like,
hey, that's where all the cool memes start, is on LinkedIn.
People go, oh my, don't even get me started on LinkedIn. I go off.
No. Tell me.
LinkedIn.
I've had to spend more time on LinkedIn in the past 2 months than I have in the past 8 years that I've been on LinkedIn.
I have so many problems.
I've been on LinkedIn for longer than that.
LinkedIn, for starters, has one of the worst algorithms of any social network. People give crap to the Facebook news feed and to Twitter. LinkedIn's algorithm is insane with the things that they show you and don't show you and the stuff that they float in there. Then they also encourage people to share the most vapid, useless content. They introduced this new feature, Dan, and you probably don't know about it because you don't have a company page that you manage, but they literally have a what do they call it? It's like Content Finder or something like that. And they literally have a database of stupid bullshit that you can search through and automatically post to your page.
Is that the thing where it sends me an email like, hey, your colleague Mark was mentioned in the news?
Yeah, it's just the way that they encourage people to share stuff on there is crazy, because it's like, we want you to share the least useful stuff, the least relevant stuff. Like, oh, here's an article about like you said, the infographic with the brand stuff. It's like, oh, you should share this. And I'm like, why? Why do you want me to share that? It's very odd. It's very odd. I don't care for it.
So, I mean, I'm sure it drives their engagement metrics up.
I mean, it must, but like, for who? Like, at least on Facebook, you're posting something as my friend that's theoretically relevant to me, right? Or I'm following you on Twitter because you're posting stuff that's relevant to you, but they're serving you up stuff that has nothing to do with you. It's stuff that you think your followers would want to see, but they don't. So it doesn't. Ugh. I hate LinkedIn so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dan, do you own a DVD player? Do you own a Blu-ray player?
In my PS4. I recently used it over the winter break to watch Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
But probably the time I had used it before that was probably to watch Lord of the Rings 2 years ago. So.
Yeah. I have a Blu-ray player and I like it and it works. You know, the thing that's interesting to me is that more about 4K content, I find most like new first run movies when they eventually come out on demand are hard to find in 4K. They don't put a lot of them out in 4K on streaming. And I thought that they were going to, it was the same way back with HD, and I thought, oh, at least if you want to get the 4K experience, you can do 4K Blu-rays. And so I wonder if the slow reduction of discs means an increase in 4K streaming options. I don't know. To me, that's a gap. I think traditional Blu-ray, yeah, I could see that going away because I don't really see the advantage of doing that versus streaming, which is, you know, basically any movie you can get on a Blu-ray, you can get streaming. It's in similar enough quality.
Yeah. The 4K stuff, we've talked about this probably pretty recently. I still don't get it. I see absolutely no reason to get a 4K TV. And frankly, lots of reasons not to, because if you like, they seem to be a lot laggier, for instance, for like playing games and stuff. I've taken my Switch over to people's houses who have 4K TVs, and it's like always a little bit like muckier. And I don't know if there's some setting on the TV I should be changing to like scale it better. But then like there's no benefit. Like, what do I get to do? Go on YouTube and watch like a video of a frog once?
I'm gonna challenge you. First of all, you played your Switch on my 4K TV.
I actually don't remember that one being that bad.
No, I guarantee it's a setting thing. They've got that weird frame rate thing turned on that makes everything looks like it's a soap opera. Which I hate, and they shouldn't even have that feature. But I genuinely feel it makes a difference because Netflix does have a lot of especially their original stuff is all shot in 4K. Amazon too is shooting all their original stuff in 4K, and it looks better. You can tell a difference. Now, would I say run out and get a 4K TV now? No, but if you're going to buy a new one, you might as well get the 4K because there is a difference. It does look better, especially the HDR stuff that's like shot. Like I was watching Kimmy Schmidt, which is like a show you're like, oh, it's a show. They just shoot it. It's not like an action thing or a big set piece thing. It looks really good in 4K. The colors are really nice. It's really sharp. It is a better picture than HD. Is it necessary? No, but it is an improvement. You put them side by side. I swear I noticed the difference. So I think there's some value there. But it's just a question of, are we going to ever see, Netflix has incentive to get people, to shoot their stuff in 4K, but is Hollywood ever going to really get behind distributing their stuff digitally in 4K? They don't seem to be in a rush to do so. I try and rent, I want to watch Aquaman or whatever on streaming, and I go, and it's not available in 4K. None of the Marvel stuff is ever available in 4K. Star Wars is available in 4K.
Disney Plus.
Well, that's the thing. Then it's going to be which of these services support it. I don't know off the top of my head if they've said if Disney Plus is going to do 4K or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, here's a question for you. Oh, that's really funny. I put some of the keys on my keyboard upside down by accident. When Disney Plus comes out, will you get it?
It's going to depend on what's on it. They've kind of hinted here and there what's going to be on it. I have to see a full list of what's included. My initial thought is no, because there's nothing I want now that I don't already have. Like, I have Hulu. I don't even really use my Hulu subscription that much that I have. I really should cancel that at some point. I'd probably pick it up for a month or two just to try it. But again, I don't know what's the new Star Wars series, okay. The new Marvel series, okay. Like, I don't know. There's a ton of existing prestige streaming television I haven't already watched. I don't know why I would pay more money to not watch other content.
The new True Detective season was something else. It was good. It was good. Yeah.
Well, it's True Detective, so could go either way.
Right. I didn't even watch the second season, but anyways, okay. Yeah, if the Star Wars show is good, I will pay for Disney Plus for the Star Wars show.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's I think
while the Star Wars show is on, and I'll do like with HBO, where apparently the fall is my time where I don't pay for HBO.
I mean, here's another great startup idea. Just a toggle system for all of these subscription services where it automatically subscribes and unsubscribes you with just you just toggle them.
Right, or you could set like schedules. I want to watch Game of Thrones and True Detective. I don't want to watch Last Week Tonight. Therefore, it'll calculate and say, oh, okay, you only need HBO Now from January to July.
Yeah, and then it automatically signs you in and sends a push alert to your phone. Hey, we just signed you up for HBO. The new episodes are available.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you've watched all of them now, so we're unsubscribing you. These companies would hate that. They'd hate it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a disaster for them that would be.
I do, I think we tried to fight it, but I think we're just right back in the user experience of watching TV is worse, and it's just as expensive.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't disagree.
It used to be worse, but less expensive.
Yeah, these services are. There's at least what are the Disney Plus, Warner Media's doing their big one with the
CBS one.
The CBS one. There's another. NBC is doing a big one. Comcast, NBC Universal is doing a big one with all their cable and television networks. That's coming out next year. So,
yeah,
you're not going to win. We're going to be $5 to death. Oh well, that's where you get to subscriptions in the future.
Oh
well. Let's see what else we got going on here. In the news. There's literally not that many in here, so.
Oh, the Stitch Fix for Gadgets thing.
Am I hearing some?
I saw this. Again, it's one of those headlines. It seems like it could be an Onion article. Like, okay, here's the thing with Stitch Fix. Here's the thing, like, clothes. You don't always need new clothes, but you could. It's possible that there's some article of clothing that you're in need of.
Sure.
And if you got a shirt that you really like, there's probably a shirt that's run its course and you can put in like the textile donation.
Sure.
If you like it that much. That's the benefit of those kinds of services. It's a way of like cycling things out. I haven't read into this what this Tech Pack thing is, but if it literally is Stitch Fix for gadgets, for tech stuff, it's not like I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow, this Wi-Fi router is really nice. Let me go through all this rigmarole. Because it's not just replacing the Wi-Fi router, right? There's a bunch of stuff you got to do. You got to deal with all your settings that are on it. You got to turn the internet off. And that's perhaps an extreme example, but that applies to more things than you think. Any sort of Roku thing is not like, oh, great, I have a Roku 4, and now here's a Roku 4K, but I don't have a 4K TV. It's like, I'm not going to swap that out. Or like Bluetooth headphones. Oh God, what a pain in the ass it would be to have multiple pairs of Bluetooth headphones. I can barely stand having one pair that doesn't work with the Apple. What's it called? Smart Bluetooth thing, whatever that thing's called.
Smart
so
Bluetooth.
that's why I think this is a stupid idea, because unlike clothes, you can't just rotate out your gadgets, and they do pile up and cause a lot of clutter, and there's a lot of them that you'd never use. Unlike clothes, you get a shirt, you can just wear the shirt. Like, you like the shirt, you can wear it. You'll wear shirts. Here, I see drone. Like, if I got a mini drone, I would use it one time, and maybe two times, and then it would just sit there.
I do know a lot of people with clothes that have piled up and not gotten used as well, to be fair. Dan, let me break down how this works and see if maybe you change your mind at all.
Okay.
Verizon is currently testing a box service like you described. It's called TechPack. Only available, very limited. They're just testing it out. When you sign up, you take a short quiz about what kind of things you like, and Verizon uses that information to choose what gadgets it'll send you. It will mail out a box of 3 tech products every so often. They're not saying every month. It's just sort of sporadically. And you can keep or return as many as you'd like. If you don't return a product within 14 days, you will be charged for it. Now, Verizon says customers can expect to receive gadgets like a Google Home Mini, a Mophie battery pack, Canary's Flex camera, LG's Tone Pro neck buds, Rise's Tello Mini drone, and a Belkin car charger. You won't know what you're getting until the box arrived. Once you receive them, Verizon says you'll get free demos, tutorial, and tech support while you try them out. The boxes include a prepaid shipping label for return. There's no subscription fee to sign up. Verizon wouldn't say the exact prices they'll be charging for the gadgets, but a spokesman indicated they would be similar to what Verizon already sells them for, and you get discounts based on how many you keep from each box. So if you say keep all 3 items, you get a discount versus keeping 1 item.
A discount on what?
The price of the gadgets. So you kind of get like a bulk. I think Stitch Fix is the same way. If you keep every item in the box, you get like 25% off or something like that. Yeah, so that's how it works. I'm intrigued. What's intriguing to me here is that there's no fee, so I can just get this crap in my home and play for it for 2 weeks. I'll just play for drone for 2 weeks, and even if I keep 10% of the things they send me, it doesn't cost me anything.
Now, you can open it up, like open the box and...
Absolutely. They want you to try them out. That is totally the idea.
Huh.
So it's like I probably wouldn't use most of this stuff, but even like a battery pack, it's like if I really like it if it's got some great feature, then, I might keep it. I agree with you. If it was like necessary pieces of technology in my house, I wouldn't want like an inkjet printer, but I think just kind of like dumb little, especially like smart home stuff. If I could just try it out for 2 weeks and send it back with no fee or penalty, yeah, I think that's intriguing to me, just as a fun thing to do. I agree with you. Nobody needs this.
All right. Well, you report back once you sign up for the tech pack.
I would love to get in on it.
Let us know how it goes.
I would definitely. It says it's sold out, but I'll give them my email address right now and see if they'll let me give it a shot. I think it'd be great for the show. It'd really help my picks.
Yeah, it would.
That's for sure. Yeah. So I don't know why Verizon's doing it. I don't know what they really get out of it, but I guess it's neat. This has to be like some gimmick to collect our data, isn't it? Do you know I'm really suspicious of that?
Verizon, probably.
Do you know I'm like so suspicious to do anything online because I think everybody's just trying to get my data? It's awful.
I'm not surprised. Like, almost everyone is trying to get all your data.
I know, but it's like, now I know I'm the man who knows too much. Now I know how things work.
Do you use Gmail, Sean, for your email?
I do.
Oh, okay, I was just curious. I've run my own email server, and it's really broken, and I need to fix it. And my plan a year ago, when I knew it was broken and I needed to fix it, was to use Gmail. But now, a year into that, it's not looking like such a good plan.
Well, you gotta do something.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I bought a new domain name today, and continuing to procrastinate actually fixing that, so that I can also change my email address while fixing the email server. Because you always want to be changing multiple things at the same time when you're doing this.
Right. Well, you just kind of get it all
you
out
want
of
to
the
add
way
as many variables as possible.
Well, yeah, just keep it complicated. That's what they say.
Keep it
complicated.
Complicated with a K.
Yes, exactly. Our slogan. All right, Dan. What else? What else is happening in tech this week?
I think it's time to talk about Amazon and your X-rated headline.
Amazon pulls out. I don't think I'm the first to come up with that one. No, Dan, we're getting the story about what 2.5 weeks late, but that's okay. It still counts.
That's somewhere around there.
Amazon canceled plans to build a second headquarters in New York City following pushback from residents and local lawmakers who were concerned about what the influx of high-skill, high-paying jobs would do to an area that's already facing fast gentrification. Amazon wrote in a statement, quote, after much thought and deliberation, we've decided not to move forward with our plans to build a headquarters for Amazon in Long Island City, Queens. They said it's canceling plans because a number of state and local politicians have made it clear that they oppose our presence. They do not plan to search for another HQ2 location, but will move forward with existing plans to open major campuses in Northern Virginia and Nashville. And it will also continue expanding its existing presence in New York through other boroughs. Part of the backlash from locals was the major concessions that New York agreed to give to Amazon, including up to $1.5 billion in incentives in exchange for creating 25,000 jobs. Amazon had promised $2.5 billion in investment. Yeah, you're a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Dan, I know you don't live in Queens, but how do you feel about this story?
Yeah, so I've thought about and talked to a lot of people about this.
Yep.
That's not a good sentence. You get the idea. One, New York is in a true free market. New York would be in a really good bargaining position here. They'd be able to drive a hard bargain because New York has a really large talent pool and a really skilled talent pool for the kinds of things that they want. So that's number one. So then that's why it feels really odd that we're giving them all this money to come here. Because a lot of other companies come here just because it's the smartest thing to do. But okay, I understand. You want to. I'm not opposed to incentivizing companies to come to New York or to come to any place. But nominally, as a resident and a taxpayer, I have choices. We have the budget is put together and is spent on things. It's spent on repairing roads. It's spent on homeless programs, and far too little is spent on fixing the subway, which is not New York City's fault. And I'm fine. So I'm fine giving companies money, but it should not be in the form of tax breaks. We should just literally give them money and put it in the budget so that people can look at it and be like, okay, what do we want to be giving? How much money was it for Amazon?
It was up to $1.5 billion in total incentives. Yeah.
Do you want to be giving Amazon $1.5 billion, or would you rather see that money go to fix the 6 train? And then that becomes a much more straightforward case that you have to make to your constituents. If you can see those numbers side by side and realize that tax breaks are just negative numbers that go into the budget. They're just negative budget numbers. And you might as well make that negative budget number a real budget item and just give them the money over the course of whatever time. And then here's the other problem with this is I'm sure that what Amazon will do, because it's those incentives come over the next 5 years, right? And then afterwards, there are no more incentives. So, what's to stop Amazon from selling the building, recouping their costs, doing it all over again. Open up another bidding process. Get yourself another 5 years of incentive somewhere else. And they get it. They would get it. And I think they know that, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna do. And they're gonna like rotate. They'll be moving HQs. One of these 4 headquarters will be moving every year. They'll constantly be moving them. So why you're in New York? You don't have to be a part of that. It's not worth it to deal with all the political fallout and all the loss of revenue for that. And as a tech worker in New York, it's like, well, first of all, I was never going to work at Amazon to begin with because it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm not sad that I won't be getting a job there. Although I could still get a job there because they still have offices in New York.
Oh, sure. A lot of people.
Surprise, surprise. But I also don't feel like looking at like me in San Francisco as like New York's only real competition as far as a tech marketplace goes. That I'm like, man, I wish that it was more competitive in New York and I got paid more. It's like, but the salaries are pretty competitive, and it still costs more to live in San Francisco, and it sucks way more. So, I'm fine. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Put it on the ballot. If we want to give Amazon a couple $2 billion, it should be a no-brainer. It should be obvious to everyone if it's really a good deal. But it's not a good deal. I think for some companies it would be a good deal, but for Amazon specifically, you look at that and you're like, no. You're either gonna extort us for more money later on and be like, well, we could go to Chattanooga, or it's like, yeah.
Well, I mean, how many small and medium-sized businesses could you support with $1.5 billion? Who aren't named Amazon.
Yeah, and if you could make the subways, like if you get people to work X% faster or more reliably, that's real economic value.
Yep. No, I think, I agree with pretty much all your points. I think from the New York City perspective, I think it's almost a lose-lose. I think it almost would have been better if they hadn't been chosen by Amazon at all. Simply because, if Amazon comes there, they're going to get crap for all the money they gave away, quote unquote. And, if they kick Amazon out, then they get crap for not, it's a lose-lose no matter how you slice it. I think for Amazon, it's just, we talked about this with the big Foxconn in Wisconsin, where they gave them like $7 billion or whatever in incentives, where these companies just hold too much power over these local and state governments because they just come in promising jobs, and they can get these politicians and these cities to offer the world simply by saying, we'll create jobs here, without thinking about the larger picture or the ramifications of what they're doing. And I do think in a lot of cases it does make sense to incentivize, to offer tax breaks to certain businesses. I think that's a fine practice in theory. But when you look at a company like Amazon or some of these other big tech companies, I just think it doesn't make as much sense. I think in a perhaps a better world, it would make sense for Amazon to pick a small city somewhere and turn it into something incredible. Not that there's anything wrong with New York City, but at the same time, I think you use that power to take a small town in Indiana somewhere and encourage people to move there rather than going to where the people already are. To me, that's a more intriguing opportunity, and something, let's say the state of Indiana wanted to invest in. You're actually building something that isn't already existing. That's money well spent, rather than creating jobs. Like you said, that Amazon's already in New York City. There are other tech companies already in New York City. I think that money could be spent in different ways. So, I don't think this is certainly a death blow to New York City. I will say, I do agree with people that if you're a tech company looking to open a big office and are looking for tax breaks, you're not going to look in New York City anymore. I mean, I think that is they're going to be in a difficult negotiating position moving forward should any company want to come in and get New York City in the quote unquote bidding process for jobs. I think that this is a blow perhaps unfairly, to the reputation of the city and its ability to what it can offer companies coming in from a financial perspective, which I don't think is fair, but unfortunately I do think that's a big side effect.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. I'm curious how much that happens. How often are these tax breaks given out? I don't know.
I mean, I know. I live in the smallest town in the world. I live in a somewhat small town. I was just reading my town just gave a tax break to a company to build a bigger factory here in town, and they gave them tax breaks of a couple $100,000 over the next few years. So I think towns do it, of all sizes everywhere. It's just a matter of the scale and to whom they give it to. This is a small business that started with one employee here in the town and now employs a couple dozen people manufacturing here in the town, and that's why they wanted to do it, to keep them in the town and not lose a couple dozen jobs. So, I get that in that respect. But it's an easy way for the local government to support business, and to them that's kind of, and this is the part I don't fully understand, is the math of it, because it's the theory that because it's tax revenue, if the business leaves or isn't there, they're not getting the money anyway. So they're really just giving up money that wouldn't have existed in the first place. So they're not really giving up anything, but then again, they are. So it's very complicated. Government, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not too broken up about it.
No, I think New York City will be just fine.
Yeah.
And like I said, Virginia still gave about $700 million in breaks to Amazon to build an office there, so they're getting something.
Yeah, and I think Amazon will be just fine too.
Well, what is it? They did $12 billion in profits last year, paid $0 in taxes, so they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Dan. Very good.
Picks?
I just have to take 2 seconds to talk about foldable phones.
Crap. Yeah, we skipped. I forgot that was the whole big story recently.
I know, and the only reason, I know that there's not a lot there, but we finally have foldable phones you can actually plunk down money and buy. Like with dates and prices. And I will very quickly go through. There were 2 of them that were announced. Samsung's the Galaxy Fold, 4.6 inches, opens up to a 7.3-inch display tablet. In tablet mode, the device can handle up to 3 windows at a time for multitasking. Let's see. It will come with 12 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of memory, and 2 batteries, 6 cameras, a fingerprint sensor on the side. It's $1,980 coming out on April 26th. We also had announced Huawei's Mate X, slightly thinner than Samsung's, 8-inch wraparound OLED display, a folded thickness of a mere 11 millimeters, 5G. Let's see. It's when the device is folded, you essentially have a dual screen phone with a second display on the rear, so you can shoot selfies and things like that. But when you open it up, it's almost square. And this will be available. Let me see if I can get the date and price on this. It's a very long article, so I'm going to keep scrolling. It is pricing it at 2,299 euros. And it is releasing it in the middle of this year. No specific date, but they did say the middle of this year. I think the Huawei one looks a lot better than the Samsung one. In my opinion. I think the Samsung one looks a little too chunky. I think the Huawei one looks a little bit more like an actual phone.
That one does look... It looks kind of cool. I'm curious how it is to use in practice. Like actually holding it. When would you fold it in and fold it out?
What apps really take good support of that? How good is Android in doing that?
That seems like neither here nor there almost.
Yeah.
That's not going to be good.
Well, Google, I don't know if it's in the current version of Android or in the next one, but they specifically said they're building out the OS to work on flexible screen size devices like these. They're intentionally putting resources into doing it. Now, again, how well that works, I don't know, but they are planning to do it. Can I be honest with you, Dan?
Yeah.
I kind of want this Huawei phone.
I don't blame you.
It's sexy. This is a sexy phone,
What do you
man.
mean?
Like, it's kind of like, and I know for a fact I've said on the show that foldable phones are stupid.
I think I remember you saying that.
And I kind of want this one because it's like, it actually looks good. It doesn't seem, I mean, it's thick, but it doesn't seem crazy thick. And it's like the future. It's so cool. Like, sometimes you want a phone and sometimes you want a tablet, and this phone is both. I don't know. I don't think the Samsung one is very attractive, but I saw Huawei one and I'm like, ooh, that's neat.
It's definitely the better one.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I don't know what I would do on it that I can't do on my regular phone.
I could see, like, I am on the subway, and maybe I could fold it out into the tablet configuration to read. But I don't feel, like, super limited by reading on my phone. So, like, when I use a tablet, I'm lounging. Like, I'm not using a tablet on the go.
Right.
And maybe there are some people that they would like to use a tablet at work, and that's not really, doesn't really work for me. So I don't know. I would love to see you take the foldable phone challenge.
The problem is it's very expensive. That's really the issue. If it weren't, I don't even know what that is in dollars. I said it in euros. It's $2,600. I mean, that's a lot for a challenge.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things, and you see it in, it's the first pass of this kind of technology, and, in a couple years, who knows? Apple just patented their version of this, so who knows? It could be coming in the next couple years.
Could be the thing.
Could be. I would definitely be very excited for that. Anyway, I just want to make sure we got to that before we ran out of time, because I'm excited.
I think you should take one for the team and take the challenge. Take the challenge,
maybe
Sean.
They'll put one in my Verizon Tech Pack. Who knows? Try that out for 2 weeks. Or just do the Sean Jennings Tech Pack, which is I buy it and then return it after 2 weeks. I'm sure they'd give me my money back. All right, Dan, let's head out to Picks Land before we head out for the evening. Picks, the part of the show where each of us brings something we want to share with the world, and you can go first. What do you got for us here?
Okay, so I was talking at the top of the show, about deck building games, and if you're curious about that genre, there's a pretty sweet mobile app, Meteor Fall. It's on both iOS and on Android. And it's one of these deck building games where you start the game with the same deck every time, and you fight these monsters. It's very simple, like swipe right, swipe left sort of interface. Either play the card or pass. And as you beat monsters, you get the opportunity to pick up more cards or remove cards from your deck and reshape it and refine it and try to go as far as you can. Easy to play one-handed, doesn't require cell phone connection, so it's one of those perfect Subway games for me. I don't know how much it costs. It probably says on here somewhere.
Yeah, it's available on the Apple App Store, and on Android it's $3.99.
Yeah, great value.
I'm definitely going to give this a shot. Dan, I never play mobile games. Virtually never. You
just play that one golf one, or the pool one.
Oh, I got bored with that. I also get bored with games very quickly, but I will say, Dan, a game you recommended to me is one of the few that I can say I've played for quite a while.
Which one was that?
And that's Card Crawl.
Oh yeah, it's still on here.
Which I've really enjoyed. So I'm going to give this one a shot because you are the tastemaker.
Aha.
So I'm going to give it a Meteor Fall, available on your mobile device. So I'll give it a shot. This looks fun.
Cool. Let me know how it goes.
I will. Well, I've got a a much simpler pick, as I mentioned. Did I mention this part on the show? I was very sick last week. I had a fever. I kind of just moved between my bed and the couch for several days, and not a good time to be watching television. You have to really focus on. I learned, which was really neat, that on Amazon Prime, they've uploaded a bunch of vintage game shows. Now, I love game shows. Dan, you like board games. I like game shows. And
right.
Why they did this, I don't know.
Is this like Twitch? Like, what are you talking about?
No, so literally there are dozens and dozens of episodes of classic game shows, like some of my favorites, including Card Sharks, Press Your Luck, Super Password, and my all-time favorite, Supermarket Sweep. They have and these are full-length, no commercial, but like original quality episodes, and they're great because they're like 80s, 90s. Everyone looks ridiculous. The games are fun, and they're also in order, so you can sit and go. They're each like 20 minutes each, and you just go through, and you can see the players as they play, and they win money as they go through, and press your luck, stop. It's great, and you kind of cheer along and you shout at the TV during Supermarket Sweep. Oh my God, you got to get the big ham, and you throw it in the cart. It's great. So if you're ever like just looking for something stupid to watch to kill some time,
now can you describe to me the premise of Supermarket Sweep real quick?
I've seen a lot of them, Dan. I sure can. Supermarket Sweep it aired late 90s, early 2000s, hosted by Dave Rubrick. And it took place in a supermarket. It was actually a soundstage they made look like a supermarket. But Did
you learn that from the Wikipedia article?
I did. The idea is that the first part of the show is a trivia challenge, and it's 3 teams of 2 that compete in supermarket product-based trivia questions. So it might be like a word scramble, and he'll give you clues, and you go, juicy juice, and like it'll unscramble, and it's juicy juice. It's all questions about supermarket products. Mm-hmm. In that first round, you earn time. You earn seconds that go towards your sweep. So then in the second half of the show, one person from each team, so the 3 teams, use that time to then run around the supermarket and get as much dollar value stuff into the cart as possible. And there's also some bonuses and some other stuff you get. A sweep is usually 2.5, 3 minutes, give or take, depending on how much you won in that first round. Whichever team gets the most money in their cart then plays for $5,000 in the super sweep.
And
it's good fun.
Okay.
Because then they literally have guys with cameras running around as they're running around the store, and they narrate it, and they go, "Oh, looks like Jenny's going for those big containers of olive oil. They're $22 a piece. Those will add up fast." And they kind of go, it's really great. You got to check it out. Big fan of Supermarket Sweep. They don't make them like that anymore. I would be great on Supermarket Sweep. That's the other thing too, is I think I'm great. I would be great on all these games. I just found out they're bringing back Press Your Luck, which is one of my favorites of all time, which has no real skill. It's total luck.
Now, my perception is that game shows have kind of fallen out of favor for the reality show. Is that a misconception?
It did for a while. They are coming back. They are coming back, especially the retro ones, and they're bringing back. They just brought back Deal or No Deal again. That's back. And yeah, they're starting to revive a lot of the game shows.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, making a comeback.
Exciting times.
I just learned today Card Sharks is coming back as well. So Family Feud is still very popular. A lot of great games. Actually, there's old Family Feuds on there. There's old Match Game, which is a great one. So anyway, I've talked enough. Amazon Prime, check it out. Just search game shows, and you'll see a whole bunch of vintage ones on there. They're a lot of fun. All right, Dan. That's it. We did it. We probably should have mentioned Colby's not here. I don't know if anyone didn't notice. Like, wow, Colby's really quiet.
Said something just now.
God, I just thought of something to say about the phone, the foldable phone. Oh, Colby, too late. Blew it. No, unfortunately, he wasn't feeling well this week, but he will be back next time. We promise. I will, let's see. Before I talk about stuff about this show, let me just do a very minor plug for Up for Debate. I mentioned that we have got James Bond coming up later on, but coming up later this week, we're doing an episode all about bank robberies, which will be a lot of fun. Dan, would you like to hear about one of my favorite bank robbery schemes?
Yes.
Yeah, so we did some research. I don't know all the details about this one. It took place in China somewhat recently. A guy had a brilliant idea that he was going to steal money, use that money to buy lottery tickets, and when he won, use that money to then put it back so nobody knew he had stole it, and then kept the remaining winnings.
Put it back. Put what back?
So
the
so
money
it's like
he stole?
So it's like he stole 20,000, he won 50,000.
He's like
so
getting a loan.
Yeah, so he put back the 20, kept the 30, right? And you're like, foolproof plan, right? How could that not work? You know what's amazing, Dan? It did work. It worked flawlessly. No one knew.
Wow.
Then he got greedy.
He won?
He did. He won the lottery with the money, put it back. Nobody knew. He got greedy. He went for it a second time with more money, and he didn't win the lottery and got busted.
That's got to be a very nerve-wracking lottery drawing you're watching on the television.
Oh my god! Well, I'm sure there's some math where it's like what amount of lottery tickets you have to buy to statistically be likely to win. I don't know what the minimum is, but I just couldn't believe it. The first time he tried it, he hit it. He got the winning ticket, made money, and then figured I should try that scheme again. That's just greedy. That's just greedy.
Yeah.
So we'll have a whole bunch of great stories of interesting bank heists over time. You can check that out at upfordebate.tv later this week or wherever you get podcasts. This show is don'tpanic.io. You can go to our website, get links to all the episodes, the audio, the video, and of course links to the picks will be there. You can check it out. You can also subscribe to the show anywhere you get podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Stitcher, now on Spotify as well, and the video version on YouTube. And of course, you can contact us at Don't Panic Show on Twitter and email us don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. We will be back next week with Colby, feeling like $1,000,000, talking more tech news, and having a great time. On behalf of Dan, I'm Sean. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it as always. And we will see you next time for more tech news and good time on another Don't Panic.